Are you one of the many people who spend hours creating custom Unmatched decks only to realize you haven't had a chance to test even half of them? Do you have a great deck idea but can't quite get it to feel the way you want it? Well, I think what you need is the Unmatched Playtesting Guild. The Playtesting Guild is an event started by Fanaka66 on the Unmatched subreddit where players work together to play and provide feedback on fan-made decks in order to earn points. Each new round will feature a deck submitted by the current highest point holder, giving incentive to keep participating until you get your deck in the spotlight. So, grab your favorite custom deck and head on over to the Playtesting Guild.
What's up guys, Zero Skater here, and we're back for yet another round of the Playtesting Guild, this time round number 17, featuring the mysterious crime fighter known as the Shadow by KeystonePig. And if you missed last episode, that was Momotaro by Darth Cauley, and that one had a really neat mechanic with the sidekicks where you could swap them out for different sidekicks that had different cards that they could play and gave you different abilities based on which sidekick was currently in play. So it was a really neat mechanic that I would love to see in official Unmatched decks someday. And if you guys missed that one, be sure to go check it out. And hopefully Darth Cauley got some good feedback on it, but it was a blast to play. So I'm really looking forward to testing out the Shadow today. And as always guys, be sure to attack that like button if you enjoy the video, and subscribe for more Unmatched content. But with that said, let's jump on over to Unmatched Maker as always, and check out the Shadow. Alright, so here we are on Unmatched Maker as always, checking out the Shadow by KeystonePig. And it looks like this is version 1.2, so this is the most recently updated version. And let's just check out the deck. And as always, this is a blind review, so I haven't seen any of this before, so you'll get my live reaction to everything. And so, looking at the character card, the Shadow is going to be a ranged fighter, which is always good. Move 2, 15 starting health, and special ability reads, when making a melee attack, if you started the turn in a different space, your attack value is +1. Alright, so that's kind of like a Momentous Shift type effect there, whereas Momentous Shift is the card where it starts at a 3 value and it bumps up to a 5 if you move before using it. So this is very similar, but it's applying to all of your attacks, but they have to be melee attacks, and it's only a +1 instead of the bump of 2 like the Shift. But still, a +1 onto all of your attacks is really, really strong, and I think you're going to want to play him as a melee fighter in most cases. Even though he is ranged, I think that is more situational, and you're really going to have to try to focus on getting those buffs with your melee attacks. So you're going to kind of play him as if he were indeed a melee fighter. But of course, being ranged is always strong in situations where you maybe want to double attack them when they are not next to you. And he is a solo fighter, so solo fighters, you know, they have their own problems, but being a ranged solo fighter is going to help mitigate some of those, because a big thing with solo fighters is you have trouble with 1 health sidekicks, because you have to punch through them in order to actually reach the hero. But being ranged, that's where that's going to come into play. And also, if you do want to punch through 1 health sidekicks, it should be really easy with that +1 attack value, because even if you hit with a 2, it would bump to a 3 even if fainted, so it's kind of unavoidable, and the token sidekick is just going to die off. So really cool. It's not like a crazy complex ability, but it's definitely going to have a big impact in how you play the game. And then it looks like he does have an extra rules card as well. It says the Sanctum. During setup, after all opposing fighters have been positioned, place the Sanctum token on any empty space. On the whole map, it doesn't have to be within your zone. It says this space will trigger certain card effects when occupied. So it's not going to block the space off. It looks like there's going to be cards that play into the Sanctum space. We're going to have to see later on during the deck review what those effects are going to do and how impactful the Sanctum is actually going to be throughout the game. But it sounds like a neat idea, and I'm excited to check out the deck, so let's get right into it. The first card is going to be Skilled Combatant, a 4-value attack for the Shadow. Reads, after combat, you may target any opposing fighter in range with Never Outnumbered. So, it's a bonus attack. If you guys aren't familiar with bonus attacks, that's the new mechanic released in Battle of Legends Volume 2, where 1 attack card triggers 2 separate combats that the opponent may choose to defend against. So, it's really, really efficient in terms of hand count and card value. And so with this one, you're going to hit them with a 4, And then after combat, you can then use your bonus attack, Never Outnumbered, which is going to be just a blank 2-value attack, but it's an additional attack that the opponent has to defend against, or they take the 2 damage. So in a way, it's like 2 auto damage if they choose not to spend a card, but they can discard a card by defending against the second attack to avoid the damage. But that's a tough choice, because either way, I mean, it's good for the Shadow. And especially neat with this card because you can target a different target with the bonus attack, whereas normally bonus attacks trigger against the same defender. But in this case, you could hit like a hero, let's say with the 4, and because that's the bigger damage value, and then you could target a 1 health sidekick with the bonus attack for the 2, and they really got to make a choice whether they want to just let that sidekick die off because it's only a 2, or if they want to waste a card to keep it alive. So that's a tough choice. Skilled Combatant seems like a really strong card off the bat, and I think a lot of people are utilizing the bonus attack mechanic now that they've seen it introduced into the game, and it's going to be really neat to see what people come up with in regards to that. And then the next card we're going to see is called Relentless Pursuit. It's a 3-value attack that says immediately, if you lost or took damage during your last combat, this card's value is 5. So I'm assuming this applies to just last combat in general, whether it was your previous turn or the opponent's turn or whatever. So if you lost or took damage, it even says took damage, so that would, to me, include auto damage effects like a counter punch. So if you got damaged during your last combat interaction, regardless of the means of the damage, this card is going to be a 5, so it's kind of like your momentous shift to the deck, but again, you also have your ability that can bump it to a 6, which is really good if you're using this on melee and you had previously moved. And it also has an after combat effect that says if you lost the combat, move up to 3 spaces and gain an action. So that's really neat because in some cases you would not want this to be a 5 because you want to get that after combat effect by losing with it, so that you get to gain the action and keep up additional pressure on your opponent, or use it as a getaway tool to back off and gain more cards in your own hand. So it's going to make some interesting decisions whether or not you know, the timing that you use this card is going to change the value, and that's going to change the outcome with the after combat. So it's going to be really interesting how you decide to use this, but it seems like a pretty versatile card and pretty strong in general. So moving on, we see a 2-value attack called the Living Shadow. And immediately, if a rumor has been played, ignore the opponent's card value. So we're going to have to find out what rumors are, but after combat, if you lost the combat, search your deck for a rumor, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Otherwise, move the shadow up to 2 spaces. Okay, there's 3 copies of this in the deck, so I'm guessing those rumors are going to play kind of a big role. And if a rumor has been played, ignore the opponent's card value. If this is like a highway robbery almost, that's really strong. And after combat, if you lost, search your deck for the rumor, add it to your hand, and then shuffle. Otherwise, you get to move up to 2. So if you ignore the opponent's card value, you're not going to lose the combat. So that means you're going to move the shadow up to 2 spaces after combat, I believe. Let's see. If you lost the combat, search for a rumor, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Otherwise, move the shadow. I'm guessing the otherwise refers to if you lost. So if you lost, you're going to search, and then if you didn't lose, you're going to move the shadow up to 2 spaces. I'm going to have to get confirmation on that from KeystonePig, but to me, that's how it seems like it would work. And it seems pretty strong. I mean, if you get to use this as a 2-value attack, ignore your opponent's card value to get 2 direct damage, and then also move the shadow up to 2 spaces to back off, that seems really, really strong. And of course, you can use this with your ability for a 3 undefended damage, and or you can use it from ranged as a ranged highway robbery of sorts. So it seems really strong in general, and interested to see what the rumors do. And then we'll see a 1-value attack called Ominous Laughter. Reads during combat. If this is your first action this turn, this card's value is 4 instead, and after combat, gain an action. So there's 2 copies of this in the deck. We see even more action gain, so that hints towards an aggressive style of fighter to me. And if this is your first action, it's a 4 instead. And again, they don't necessarily have to be directly adjacent because you can hit from range. So you can hit a ranged 4, you can gain your action, then you could maneuver up, and then you can attack them with melee range, and that would trigger your ability for the +1. And if you're hitting with something like the Skilled Combatant or the Relentless Pursuit, you might gain additional actions or just kind of get a 2-for-1 trade. And that's really, really strong. And something I didn't consider before with Skilled Combatant, you're going to get your ability with the bonus attack as well as the initial attack. So this could be a 5 into a 3 instead of a 4 into a 2, which is really, really strong. You're doubling up on your ability there. So that's really cool. But this Ominous Laughter is just really going to help be aggressive and knock those defenses out of your opponent's hand. You're only going to ever want to use this as your first action unless you're kind of desperate to just throw any attack that you have at your opponent just to kind of bait one of their defenses, almost like a regroup would do. You could use this for that. And also, it would kill off a 1 health sidekick because it's still a 1 value. That's good enough if they choose not to defend. So I think Ominous Laughter, it's nothing crazy, but it seems pretty good overall. So moving on, we see 4-value versatile called It's Just a Rumor. After combat, place the shadow in an unoccupied space in his zone. So this is a disengage, but it is a versatile, not just an attack, so you can use it on offense or defense, which is quite a strong card. Just, you know, it's nothing crazy. Again, it's pretty simple, but it's just good. So any 4-value defense is good, and a 4-value defensive disengage is even better because it can avoid like combo chains from like Bruce Lee or the Raptors. Or if you moved up and you hit them from melee range because you wanted your buff from your ability, and you end adjacent to your opponent, they want to double attack you. Well, they're not going to be able to double attack if you hop back with your It's Just a Rumor card. So it's just really basically a strong card. And I don't know if this counts as being a rumor card for something like the Living Shadow. It seems to me like it would because it has rumor in its name, but I don't know if rumor is supposed to be like a specific card that is just called rumor. Again, we're going to find out, but it seems like this would count as one of those. So this is going to also trigger the Living Shadow effects, and that just makes this card even better. And at baseline, it's already really good. So yeah, I like it. Let's move on to the next. And we're going to see the next one here, Surrender and Confess. So immediately, if the fighters are adjacent, name a card value. The opponent may discard any number of cards of that value. During combat, the opponent reveals their hand. This card's value is +2 for each card in their hand of the named value. Wow, this card is crazy good. Such a neat idea. I mean, first of all, you can only use this, or you're only going to want to use this when the fighters are adjacent. So if they're melee attacking you, you can use this on defense, or if you decide to move up and attack from melee range, you use this on offense. Those are the only times you're going to want to use it, because this can be a really, really powerful effect. The opponent reveals their hand also. Regardless of what you called and what they have, you still get full hand knowledge, which is always good in this game. So that's a plus right there. And then I think, if this card, if you name a card value that your opponent has 2 of in their hand or more, this is totally going to be worth it, because if you name a 3, let's say, and they have 2 3s in their hand, you're either going to get a +4 to your value, so this is a 6, which is crazy, or you're going to discard 2 of their cards, and this is just a 2, but that's still crazy. And even a 4 value, discard 1 of your opponent's cards, is kind of like a Hiss and Slither from Medusa. So this can be an offensive or defensive Hiss and Slither, or Clutching Claws almost, It's just a really good card in general, regardless of the outcome, as long as you name a card value that they have at least 2 of. If they have 1 or less, it's not really going to be very worth it, because they can just, this card will be a blank 4, which is, it's okay, but nothing crazy. And if you whiff on it, I mean, it's just a blank 2, and that's pretty bad. But again, you do get to see their full hand, so that's a little bit of something. Overall, I just think this card is really cool. It's kind of a pick your poison card for your opponent. They got to choose the best outcome for them out of all bad outcomes, and that's just a really neat effect. And it's going to make this card really powerful, and it's going to be cool how this card plays out in practice. But I love this card. I think it's awesome. Then moving on, we're going to see our first scheme card called Panicked Fighting. So, move an opposing fighter in your zone up to 3 spaces. Deal 1 damage to a fighter adjacent to the moved fighter, then deal 2 damage to the moved fighter. Wow, this is really strong. So first of all, it does have to be in your zone, but you get to move them up to 3 spaces. That's decent movement range. You deal 1 damage to a fighter adjacent to the moved one, so that could damage 2 opposing fighters. Let's say you pick Robin Hood, right? And you move Robin Hood up to 3 next to an outlaw. You're going to kill off the outlaw. You're also going to then deal 2 damage to Robin Hood because he was the one you moved. So this is going to be really, really strong against heroes with 1 health sidekicks. And just in general, it's a great card. Even if you don't move them at all, you don't deal the extra bonus damage to an adjacent fighter, and you literally just deal the 2 damage to the opposing fighter in your zone. I mean, that's a momentary glance from Medusa or the spear throw from Achilles. That's already a really powerful scheme. You get to use it as a pass. So yeah, it's just a versatile scheme. It's very strong, very good. Only 2 copies, which I think that's fine. I don't think there should be more copies of this in the deck because that'd be way too good. But I think it's a cool card overall and going to be very deadly against decks with 1 health sidekicks. And then we see a 1 value versatile card called Crime Does Not Pay. Immediately cancel all effects on the opponent's card, so this is basically your feint. After combat, if the opponent has more cards in hand than you, they discard 1 random card. That's really strong. There's 3 copies of this in the deck. Now, this isn't all that great on defense. Normally, you do play feints on defense, and in this case, that's really going to hurt because it's only a 1 value instead of the 2 from feint. And so if you get hit by even a 3, you're going to take 2 damage, and that's not... that doesn't feel great. So that 1 value difference from the feint is really going to make a big difference in when you want to play this card. You probably want to more often than not play this on offense so that you get to negate any of their defensive effects, you still knock a defense out of their hand, and you can knock an additional card out of their hand because this is basically like an ambush as long as your opponent has more cards in hand than you do. So it's going to be more situational for this card than a feint would be. And a lot more dangerous to play, but it's a really neat effect, and I'll be interested to see how often you actually do want to use this on defense because it doesn't seem like very often, at least on paper. And then we're going to see Stalking the Underworld, a 3 value card. It says after combat, draw 1 card. If your opponent has fewer cards in hand than you, the opposing fighter takes 2 damage. Oh man, this is another really strong card. It's really cool to see these effects that have to do with your opponent having more cards in hand than you do. So that again hints towards this deck wanting to be an aggressive style deck because you just want to get in there, get those attacks in, put on the pressure, empty your hand by attacking, and have your opponent have more cards than you, and then you take advantage of your bonus effects here because this is almost like a better counterpunch in a way if it triggers, because you're always going to draw the 1 card, which is good. It's a little bit of draw power that we haven't seen in the deck yet, but then it's also going to deal that 2 auto damage, and it doesn't have to be an adjacent fighter, so this will work against ranged as well, and work when you attack with it from range. So that 2 auto is just huge. This is definitely something the opponent wants to feint. There's only 2 copies of this in the deck, not 3, so that's good to see. But it just seems really, really strong overall, and probably one of the strongest cards we've seen yet in the deck. So moving on, we are going to see a 1 value versatile called the Sanctum. After combat, you may place the Shadow or remain at the Sanctum. If you do, recover 2 health and draw a card. Otherwise, move up to 2 spaces and draw 1 card instead. So here is where that Sanctum token that we talked about earlier comes into play. You're going to put that token anywhere on the map at the start of the game that designates that space as the Sanctum, which plays off of this card here where you can either warp to the Sanctum, or if you're already there, you can stay there, and then if you do, you're going to recover 2 health and draw a card. So that's a really powerful effect. It's interesting because this card is going to provide a draw no matter what, and movement capability, regardless of which outcome. Because if you choose not to warp to the Sanctum or stay at the Sanctum, you get to just move up to 2 spaces anywhere. So that might come into play in certain situations where you want to just keep pressure on the opponent. Maybe the Sanctum is like way far out of the way, and it's just too slow of a play to warp over there to heal. Maybe you want to just keep up the pressure, so you just rather take the 2 movement spaces instead. So it's going to be really interesting seeing how this card plays out. It's a pretty versatile card, but you probably don't want to use this as a defense because, again, it's only a 1 value. That's pretty bad. And even though you heal 2, then you can look at this as like a 3-value defense. That's, it's nothing to write home about, so I don't know. You're going to want to play this on offense. It'll be good for keeping up the pressure because it, again, gives that draw power. And the healing might actually be a little more situational than just the basic movement capability of this card just to keep on the opponent. So, with the Sanctum, you probably want to put it more towards the center of the map at the start of the game so that it's not too far out of the way in any direction if you want to keep the aggression up but still get the healing. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. And then we will see our first defense card called the Shadow Nose. So it's a 4-value defense card, which is always really good. It says immediately, if you started this turn in the same zone as the opposing fighter, return their card, then look at their hand and choose a card for them to play. It may be the same card. Wow. So this is literally a Do My Bidding from Dracula's deck, but it's a 4-value instead of a 3. So it's even better. There are 2 copies of this in the deck, but it only can trigger if the opponent started their turn in the same zone as you. So again, I mean, this is more incentive for you to go in there and be aggressive as a melee fighter and just stay with them grouped up, because then that's going to let this card trigger, and this card is just completely brutal. Your opponent is really going to have to play around this card. Like, there are spots on maps where you can be adjacent but in a different zone, so that might come into play. Your opponent, if they're, let's say, Dracula or Jekyll and Hyde, somebody, or Beowulf even, someone with a really big power swing that they don't want to get interrupted, they're going to have to time those power hits on turns that this card couldn't activate. So they'd have to start in a different zone as the Shadow and use that opportunity to go in with their big attacks. But that also kind of telegraphs the attacks to the Shadow, and then he can play, his other big defenses or whatever during those moments. So this card's just incredibly strong. It's going to be fun to see how the opponent plays around it, if they can play around it at all. And this one's just a killer card. It's really cool to see. So let's move on here. We're going to see another defense card. This one's, it's only a 0 value, but it is the Clouded Mind Sees Nothing. During combat, ignore all combat damage. That explains the 0. After combat, move one of the fighters in the combat up to 2 spaces. So this card is very much like a Bewilderment from now Sun Wukong's deck, or Merlin from Arthur's deck, where it's just going to ignore the combat damage. But if you defend with this against a feint, or even more deadly like a surprise attack from Invisible Man, which is an offensive feint, you aren't going to ignore the damage because it's a during combat effect, and those cancels from feints and whatnot are immediate. So this can be risky against those, but in general, it's a super strong defense card there to ignore all the combat damage. And also, after combat, instead of Bewilderment, where it lets you place yourself in any space on the whole map, this one lets you move one of the fighters in the combat up to 2 spaces, so it's much less movement capability for yourself, because you can only move up to 2 instead of anywhere, but you can choose to move the opponent instead. And I don't know many situations where you're really going to need to do that because you're a solo fighter, so it's not like you want to push them towards your sidekick so the sidekick can attack instead of you. But still, I mean, this is a really strong defense card, and it's a cool twist on Bewilderment. And then we're going to see a scheme here, which I can only assume this is in a different language, Mo Shrevnitz. Excuse my pronunciation. That's why I'm guessing it is in English called the Cabbie. So there's only one copy of this, but it says move the Shadow up to 5 spaces. You may move through opposing fighters, and then if the Shadow is at the Sanctum, regain 2 health and draw a card. So this is a crashing through the trees from Bigfoot with an additional bonus if you end on the Sanctum, because then you get to heal 2 additional health and draw an extra card. Now, I don't know how strong that is. There's only one copy, so it's going to be kind of unreliable. It's not like you're going to even see it every game, especially if you're being aggressive and not making it towards the end of the deck. It's not necessarily a pass if you take the heal, because 1 card in fatigue is 2 damage, and that's the 2 health you're going to be regaining, so it doesn't really help you as a pass. You could use it to just simply move 5 through people and not end at the Sanctum, and then it is indeed a pass. But it's only, again, 1 copy, so it's nothing really reliable, and that's not a super strong effect. Crashing Through the Trees for Bigfoot is one of his most forgettable cards. You often use it just to discard as a boost. Or there are, niche cases where you actually do need to move through opposing fighters, and in this deck too, since you're a solo fighter, maybe you need to get out of a pin situation. But again, this is the only copy of this card in the deck, so if you don't happen to have it when you're in the pin, it's not going to help you out. So I'm not a super big fan of this one. It seems fine, but it seems just really situational, so we'll see how useful it ends up being. Alright, so let's see what we have up next. It's going to be the last 2 cards of the deck. A 3-value versatile called Compromise. Immediately, if there is an opposing fighter at the Sanctum, cancel the effects of this card. During combat, you may boost this card. Ooh, so that immediate effect is a detriment to you. If the opposing fighter is sitting on that Sanctum, this isn't going to do... You're not going to be able to boost this card. It's just going to be a blank 3, which is really bad. But regarding that niche case where the opponent's actually on the Sanctum, if you're anywhere else on the map, it's just going to be a 3-value versatile that you can boost. And you can boost it on defense or offense. And you also get to boost after you see what card the opponent played, because it's a during combat effect, much like Second Shot is. So that makes this quite a strong card. I haven't really paid attention much to his boost values. The Cabbie is a 3 boost value. That's good. That'd be a prime one to discard, I think. A lot of 1s and 2s, honestly. Yeah, the Cabbie is his only 3-value boost. That's really interesting to note. I think in general, his boost values might need to see some buffs. I get why they're low, probably because he's a ranged fighter, so you don't really need to boost as much or as far because you can hit within the whole zone. So I understand that, but that definitely nerfs a card like Compromise because you're not often going to want to boost it when it only maxes out at a 5 in most cases. That's like Muldoon's Second Shot, and although you do see it being boosted to a 5 occasionally, there's also a lot more throwaway cards that Muldoon has to use to bump it up to a 5. So, I don't know, this card is okay, but I really think just the boost values of the deck hinder its potential a lot, and I would maybe like to see some higher boost values spread out among the deck, so that makes this a little more impactful. So, I mean, it's a neat card, but I don't think it's super great. And that's going to do it for the deck, so checking out the stats. It's really easy to look at this because he's the only fighter here. The total versatiles are 14 with attacks. That makes 23 available attacks total in the deck. You got 18 available defenses. That's quite a lot of defense cards. Only 3 schemes, so he's really going to be a fighter that wants to duke it out constantly. He's not a schemer. You're going to want to make as much use out of that ability as you can, getting your +1 to all your melee attacks. And although this does look like a high number of defense cards, interesting to note that we see a lot of 1s, right? So we see the Sanctum, which is 3 copies of only a 1-value defense, and then we saw 3 copies of Crime Does Not Pay, that's only a 1-value defense, so his defenses really are lackluster, I think, and that even further pushes the aggression of the fighter. So you're going to have to be aggressive, dictate the pace of the game, and keep the opponent on the back foot so you minimize the amount of opportunities they have to actually attack you safely. So a quick rundown of the deck. Again, Compromised is the card that lets you boost as long as the opponent's not on the Sanctum. The Cabbie is your movement scheme that can heal and draw if you end up on the Sanctum. Clouded Mind sees nothing, cancels all the damage, and lets you move. The Shadow Nose is your Do My Bidding as long as the opponent started in the same zone as you. The Sanctum is the card that's going to give you draw and movement capabilities, and can heal you if you end up at the Sanctum. Stalking the Underworld is, again, more draw, as well as auto damage to the opponent if they have less cards in hand. Crime Does Not Pay is your feint that cancels their effects and also makes them discard a random card if they have less, or if they have more cards in hand than you. Same with the Stalking the Underworld. The opponent has to have... oh, actually, it is different. Stalking the Underworld triggers if your opponent has less cards in hand than you, and Crime Does Not Pay triggers if the opponent has more cards in hand than you. I think I missed that during the initial review, so these are flip-flops, so your opponent is going to have to be careful of their hand size to play around both of these. Panicked Fighting that's a really strong scheme. That's the auto damage scheme that lets you move people and damage adjacent fighters as well. Surrender and Confess, that's the poison pill card for your opponent, where they get to choose out of the either discarding or bumping this card's value. Just a Rumor, this is the Rumor card for the Living Shadow. We haven't seen anything else, so this is just a strong defensive card. It could be used on offense too, but Ominous Laughter, that's going to be your 4 if it's your first action, but it gains you in the action, which is the important part, lets you keep up pressure. Living Shadow is the card that if you've played this Just a Rumor card previously, this gets to ignore the opponent's card value, otherwise you get to search the Rumor card. So that's really good. Relentless Pursuit is going to be more action gain or just a big hit. And Skilled Combatant is your bonus attack that lets you also target 2 different fighters if you choose to, which is really neat. So a lot of aggression in this deck. The card values are a little underwhelming, but that is made up for by the fact that you get to +1 on all of your attacks if you are hitting from melee when you started in a different space. So you're going to probably want to maneuver and attack most turns of the game, similar to Sinbad, and you're going to want to keep on the pressure. Again, keep the opponent on the back foot so you minimize the amount of attacks that you have to take yourself, because your defenses aren't the best, and your defenses don't get buffed with your ability. So you're going to want to be attacking more often than anything. And then don't forget that you are ranged. So if the situation comes up where you want to make a double attack from range, go ahead and do it. I'm sure it is going to come up in certain scenarios, but for the most part, you want to take advantage of this buff because I think you're going to need it in order to have enough damage to close out the game. He might be a little bit on the weaker end, at least out of the decks that I've play tested for the guild so far, but it's, again, hard to tell. And solo fighters are always a little tricky to balance because the sidekicks really do make a big impact in the game. So regardless, I'm excited to try it out and see if my predictions are correct. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but let's jump on over to Tabletop Simulator and try out the Shadow.
Thanks for joining. This is going to be the Playtesting Guild round number 17, featuring the Shadow by KeystonePig. And joining me today, I have Hollandoates, otherwise known as Zach. So how you doing, Zach?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining me on the stream today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, same here. You had a chance to look over the deck ahead of time, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So let me pull out the deck here, and we'll just give out some initial thoughts, I guess, before we start playing.
Okay.
So... any specific cards or anything like you want to throw out there before we begin?
Yeah, I don't know about anything specific. I think he's pretty cool. I like how he does, you can be ranged, or if he needs to be melee, he gets a little bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of got a mix of like Sherlock and Dracula in some of his cards.
Right, with like you get to look at the opponent's hand and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I do like what you said, about him being ranged and melee. Like he is ranged technically, but I think he plays like a melee fighter a lot of the time. You're gonna want to anyways, so that you can get all the, the most mileage out of your ability as possible.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really interesting. He seems pretty aggressive to me too. He doesn't have a lot of high value defenses, and
right.
Like he's got these that are only 1s, and same with this here. So you don't really want to play those on defense necessarily. I think you'd rather play them on offense, just so you can bait out one of your opponent's defenses and still get your effect off.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than potentially taking, I don't know, 3, 4 damage if you play it on defense.
Yeah, and the Sanctum token is pretty neat too. Like give him a little home base.
Yeah, exactly. It's a home base, and it's interesting because you can't move the Sanctum token, right? So you get to pick one spot at the beginning, and that's it for the whole game. I mean, you're stuck with wherever you put it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how impactful that's going to be. Only a few cards really care about the Sanctum token, being this one and I think the scheme, maybe?
Yeah, and then there's one where if the opposing player is on it, it's bad for you.
That's right. Which one is that? I think it's this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, compromise. So if the opponent's on the Sanctum, then you get your effect canceled, so you're not able to boost it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's not the biggest, like, biggest loss there, but it's something to keep in mind.
Yep.
And then, like you mentioned, Dracula 2, you got basically a do my bidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, that's incredibly strong. It's conditional, right?
And
So,
4 too,
yeah, and it's a 4 even, which is even better than bidding. But you got to have the opponent start in the same zone as you on their turn. So, it's conditional.
Yeah.
The opponent will know when they have to worry about this and when not. So,
Yep.
let's see. Other than that, I mean, yeah, he's got the bonus attack, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's gonna help him be
And
aggressive.
then, yeah, and then that he can he can target someone else with the second one.
Yeah, which is really neat because normally bonus attacks they double attack the same fighter, but this one you can split it up. So like, if you want to maybe hit the hero with the 4 and then like a sidekick, maybe a 1 health sidekick with the 2 would be really good.
Yeah.
And then you got like basically highway robberies here. The Living Shadow, it doesn't cancel the effect, but it does ignore the value, which is really strong.
Yep. Yep. I think it's cool that it depends on that other card being played too. So you want to go through the try to get that.
Yeah, for sure. The
As soon as
rumor,
you can.
which was this one here. So this rumor card is just pretty strong in general. It's nothing fancy, but it's a good card.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one too, the Living Shadow, can search it out, right? If you don't already have it in play,
Yeah.
so you kind of help set up the future Living Shadows after you play the first one.
Yeah.
So that is cool. I think my favorite card off the bat, or the most interesting, seemed to be this one, where the
Oh
opponent.
yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, like that could be so brutal depending on how many cards you hit with it.
Yeah.
If they have like, if you call it 3, right, and they have like 3 or 4 3s in their hand, it's either going to be huge value or they're just going to have to discard a bunch of cards, which is brutal either way.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you basically got like your bewilderment almost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty nice. Yeah, so he looks pretty aggressive, and I think you're gonna want to play him like a melee fighter, but only use the ranged when you really have to. If like the opponent, if you want to get a double attack turn in and they're not next to you.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But you wanna jump right in?
Sure.
All right, cool. Do you want to be the Shadow first, or do you want to be him second?
Yeah, I'll be the Shadow.
Okay, cool. If you want to play against Bruce, are you cool with that?
Yeah, let's try it out.
All right, awesome. And how about a map? Anybody have any preference on a map? Blue Sunshine says Soho. All right, Soho it is. Soho is quite good for ranged. But again, I mean, the Shadow is going to probably want to play as a melee, so it'll be interesting. We got to make sure we remember to place the Sanctum token, and since neither of us have sidekicks, you can go ahead and put that down wherever you'd like now.
Let's see. I'll put it here, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, like, what's good. I don't know where is a good spot. I figure just kind of somewhere relatively in the middle of the map might be good, just so you can get to it the most often or most easily. Shuffle up, draw 5. All right, Zach, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, man. Good luck. Have fun.
All right, you too.
Thanks a lot. So I will start with maneuver. So I can go 3 and you're ranged. Let's go 1, 2, 3. I'll maneuver again. I'll move 1 right there, and it's your turn.
All right, I'll maneuver. We'll attack Bruce. That.
All right, I like it being aggressive right off the bat. And now I gotta remember here, you're getting a +1 because it's melee and you started in a different space. So I think I'm gonna defend with the skirmish.
Okay. Your cards are just white for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is weird.
I mean, you can just tell me what it is and I'll believe you.
They say they can see it. Okay. Well, I mean, that's going to be kind of annoying for you. Okay. Well, this is going to be a little weird, but just so the stream can see, like, the art so they recognize it a little easier, I'm going to keep my blank deck, if you're okay with that, and I'll pull out the card that matches it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So this is skirmish. So yours is a 5. Mine is only a 4, so I'm going to take 1. So I don't win, I don't get my effect, and you do get yours.
Yeah, so I can place him in his zone. I think I'll come up here.
Ooh, nice. That's way far away from me. Okay. So I'm going to maneuver. Let's see, how many spaces away are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is the shortest 5. Okay, that means I'm okay with boosting with, this is a regroup here.
Okay.
So, there's that. 2 boost value. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And attack you with this.
Okay. I'll do this.
Oh, nice. Mine is a regroup. So yours is the cancel, is that right?
Yes.
Nice. So
And then you have more cards in hand than you see discarding random.
Oh, that's brutal. Nice. Good play. All right, go ahead and grab one.
Okay.
What do we got? Oh, that is my Be Like Water.
Nice.
And then I guess I'm going to use my ability to hop back 1, and it's your turn.
Okay. I will maneuver. And I'll maneuver again.
Okay.
Your turn.
All right. I'm going to maneuver. I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then I'll maneuver again. Right there to the Sanctum. And it's your turn. I'm guarding your home base.
I'll maneuver. And then I will do this scheme to move you 3 spaces.
Ah. All right.
And then you take 2 damage.
Yep. That card is so good. It's like a momentary glance from Medusa or the spear throw from Achilles, but even better because you get to move them.
Yeah. And it would be really good against if you had a sidekick.
Oh, definitely. Especially 1 health sidekicks like the Outlaws or something. Yeah, that's brutal. Okay, I'm going to maneuver. I'm going to boost with a Jeet Kundo. So I get to go up to 6. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do an attack.
Okay. Do this.
Oh no. Alright, mine is Jeet Kundo Wrist Lock, which is the draw Jeet. This one here. So I'm gonna... Well, you don't take any damage. And then yours gets to go first. So you can move one of us up to 2.
Yeah, I will go. I'll do that.
Okay, and then I draw a card and gain an action. Now, unfortunately, you got away. But thankfully, you are now in my same zone, so I'm going to use Bring It On. So I get to take you and put you adjacent to me. So let's put you right there. And then I'm going to do another attack here.
Okay. I'll just do this. I don't think I get the effect, but
So mine is a high straight lead, which is the momentous shift cheat. So
yeah.
mine's just a 5. Let's see. If you started this turn in the same zone as the opposing fighter, which you did not. You started in the orange
Yeah.
and I was in the yellow. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Still a big defense, though. So you'll take 1. And I get to gain an action.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a hoo-ah. And I'm going to take back the draw jeet. And I gain an action again, so I will do another attack.
I'll take it.
Oh, nice. So that's the draw jeet, the wrist lock again. So that'll be 3. And I'll draw 1. Oh, man. I could have used this earlier. The card I drew. So I have 1 more action. I'm going to attack again.
Okay. I will do this.
And that is just a momentous shift.
Okay, so I take 4.
Yep, you'll take 4. And then you get to either warp to the Sanctum and heal 2, draw 1. Or you can move up to 2 and draw 1.
I will go to the Sanctum and cover 2 health.
Yep.
And draw 1.
Nice. Alright, and then I get to use my ability, but I'm actually going to stay where I'm at, and it's your turn.
Okay.
Got a nice little combo chain there.
Yeah, that was brutal. I'm going to maneuver. And I'll maneuver again. And your turn.
Alright. I will maneuver myself. And I'll maneuver again. And it's your turn.
Sanctum.
I'm
Alright,
blocking the Sanctum again.
let's maneuver. And we'll attack.
I think I gotta feint this and hope it's not a big attack. Oh, it is a big attack. Because you get the +1, so yours is a printed 5, so I'll take 3 right there.
Yep. But I don't get the bonus attack.
Thankfully, because it's really cool because with the ability, the bonus attack also gets the +1.
Yeah.
So it's a 5 and then a 3, which is huge. Let's start with an attack.
I'll do this.
Oh, nice. I'm happy with that. Mine is Little Dragon.
Okay.
So, no damage, but you do get your effect, and then I'll draw 2.
Let's do that.
Okay, and then I draw 2. I have 1 more action. Well, I guess I have to maneuver. I'm actually gonna go right back to the Sanctum, and it's your turn.
Alright, we'll start with an attack.
Okay, I'm gonna use a Be Like Water here.
Okay.
Oh no,
That's a
yours.
4, because this is my first action.
That's right. So I take 1. And then I get to grab a Jeet back. Let's get the high straight lead. That's the momentous shift Jeet.
Okay.
And you gain an action, so you're still essentially on your first.
Yeah. I will attack again.
First action. Okay, I'm gonna feint this one. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, that could have been so brutal. That card is especially good against Bruce, too, because all the Jeets are 3s, so
Yeah.
are the Be Like Waters, and so are the Momentous Shifts. Wow. Oh,
Yeah, good play.
yeah, I definitely got lucky on that one. Dodged a bullet there.
All right, and
You
my
got one
last
more.
action, I'm gonna maneuver.
Yep.
I'll go there.
All right. Oh, man. Oh, I am so lucky that I had that feint there. I would have been wrecked. So, I'm going to maneuver. Let's go 1, 2, 3 over here. And I will dart with a nunchaku. So I'm going to have +1 on all my attacks. And then I'm going to start with an attack with this.
Yeah, I'll do this.
Okay, mine is the random discard cheat.
Ah,
But your effect does what? You can
I
boost
can
it?
boost it.
But you don't even need to boost it because it's a 3 into a 3. Oh,
Right,
actually,
yeah.
it's a 4 into a 3, actually. But probably not worth saving 1 damage.
No, I don't think so. Especially having the discard too. So
Yeah, right. So you'll take 1 there. And then, yeah, here we go with the discard. I will take this one.
dang.
Oh, there goes some healing.
Yep.
All right. And I have 1 more action still. I will attack with... Well, let's attack with this card here.
I'll take it.
Oh, man. This is the high straight lead, so it's the shift.
Oh.
So it's actually a 6.
All right.
And you're at 2, so unfortunately for you, I have the 1-inch punch.
Yeah, I don't have any defense anyway, so.
Oh, okay. I could have just hit with another... I had
Yeah.
the deal 1 damage Jeet, and then I had a Be Like Water. Oh, there's those living shadows. Those would have canceled my values. So, a question I had about this card was that it says if you lost the combat, search for a rumor, add it to your hand. Otherwise, add it to your hand, then shuffle. Otherwise, move the shadow up to 2. So does that mean if you win the combat, you get to move up to 2? I'll be interested to learn the ruling on that, but it was unfortunate that you were stuck with just the attack cards in your hand.
Yeah, let's see. I still had a few in my deck. Yeah, I just got stuck with all attack cards in the schemes.
Yeah, and I got lucky enough to draw most of my Jeets pretty early. I mean, I have 11 cards left in my deck, and
Yeah.
there's only 1 Jeet left in my deck, which is the cancel effects Jeet. So yeah, I mean, in the top 2/3 of my deck, I got almost all the Jeets, which is pretty crazy. Let's see. KeystonePig said, yes, if a rumor has already been played, it's a move 2. Only search if you lost and haven't played a rumor. So yeah, with this, if you lose the combat, you're going to search. And if you win the combat, you're going to move up to 2. It's a really good card. I think the Sanctum, I kind of hovered around there a lot. I don't know how impactful that was, but it seemed like a pretty decent thing to do.
Yeah, I know there was at least one point where I was going to try to play that scheme to get to the Sanctum, and you were sitting on it, so I couldn't do that.
Nice. So it did work out in my favor. Perfect. And you also had the card that lets you boost. Did you have that when I was on the Sanctum at all?
I did.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Didn't want to use it.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, cool. So it did play a role there.
Yeah.
So let's switch it around, and then I'll play the Shadow, and you can play whoever you like into him.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to try a 1 health sidekick deck, Or if you'd rather
Yeah,
go with like
maybe.
a beefier sidekick deck.
Yeah, maybe Muldoon.
Ooh, yeah, Muldoon would be interesting because I am ranged, so I'm able to hit you more easily. But then again, I want to get in melee range, so I get
Yeah.
my attack buffs. Yeah, that's cool. Let's try that one. Let's see, what kind of map? What is Muldoon good with?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe Marmorial.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting one. Let's do that. Alright, and I gotta put my Sanctum token. Well, it's gonna be really easy for you to block the Sanctum token here with your guys. There's some cards that let me warp to the Sanctum token, so maybe I actually want to put it in like the purple zone that's harder for you to get to. Just in case I
Yeah,
need to like retreat.
and I can't put a trap on the Sanctum token, can I? Because it's got to be an unoccupied space. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, actually. Huh, so I can permanently block off one of the spaces from your traps.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Well, I'll try that. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Alright, and we'll shuffle up. Draw 5. And you are good to start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm on the pink, and I don't think I'm gonna put a trap down.
Okay.
I'll maneuver, and this worker will attack the shadow.
Alright. Probably smart moving Muldoon back, because now I can't get to him unless I, like, boosted.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to do this so early, but I'm going to put down this one here.
That's.
So you can see these, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Clouded Mind sees nothing. I negate the damage, and then I get to move one of the fighters up to 2. I'm going to move me 1, 2, so I can actually reach you.
Mm-hmm. And then I can move my workers. Kind of want to keep him on the
Sanctum.
Yeah.
Alright, and it's my turn then?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and maneuver. I'm going to attack Muldoon. So I do get a +1 on this.
Yeah. I will do that.
Alright.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is good for me. So because we are adjacent, I get to name a card value. And then you can discard any of those cards. Otherwise, I get a +2 for each of that value. So what do I want to call? You have a couple of big 4s like Leapaways in the blue, but you just played one, so that's less likely. You have a lot of 3s in the deck because you got these that you just played. You got the Rending Shots. And you got Shooter. Oh, you have a lot of 4s though because you have those attacks. I'm going to call a 4.
Okay.
Dang. Okay. Rending Shot, Tactical, second, and they should be destroyed. Okay, you can have those back. So you're not discarding, so mine is a 4, but again, well, actually mine's a 5, right? Because I had the +1.
Yeah.
So
I'll take 1.
Yeah, at least I deal 1. And that's my turn.
Okay. Oh, and then I can move.
Oh, yep, you get to move everybody, actually.
my...
Ooh, that's scary.
2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, and then I will put out a trap. I'll attack.
With who?
With Muldoon.
Okay, so this could be the second shot, the 4, which becomes a 5, or the Rending Shot. Oh, man, I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to take it. Oh, no! That's the one I didn't want it to be. So I take 5.
Yep.
Alright, and then you still have another action.
Yep, and I'm gonna maneuver.
Smart.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I am going to start with a maneuver. I actually can't hit any of your guys. Ah, this is tough. And I'll maneuver again. And it's your turn.
Okay. I'll put out a trap here.
Nice.
I'll maneuver. And this worker will attack the shadow.
I don't necessarily want to play this on this guy, but I'll do this. Stalking the Underworld. So yours is a 2, mine's a 3. After combat, I am going to... If your opponent has fewer cards in hand than you, which is the case, so your worker is going to die after the combat, but you can choose to boost if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll boost with the tactical advance.
Yeah, nice. So I'm going to take 2. And then my after combat's going to go. I'm going to draw 1 and deal 2 to your worker.
Okay.
And then it's my turn, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm going to start with the maneuver. Kind of want to boost. All these cards are good, though. I don't want to lose any of them. Oh, this is so rough. All right, I'm actually going to discard Crime Does Not Pay. Because it only triggers the discard if you have more cards in hand, and I have a lot of cards right now. So that'll get me 1, 2, 3, which is just barely enough. I'm going to attack Muldoon.
Okay. I'm gonna take it.
Oh, yes, this is huge.
Dang.
Oh, yeah, so...
That's the bonus, right? Yeah.
Yep, the bonus. So you'll take 4. And then I get to choose to hit Muldoon again or hit the worker. I'm just going to hit Muldoon himself.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, nice. That's good. So you'll take 1, and you do get to draw. And it's your turn.
Okay. Put a trap down. I'm gonna maneuver. Then we'll have this worker attack the shadow.
Alright. Oh, man. I hate to do this too, but I'm going to play the Shadow Nose.
Alright.
So it's like the do my bidding, because the worker did
Oh,
start...
yeah.
Oh, Rending Shot. Okay, so what else do you have? Ooh, Leap Away. Oh, no, the Call for Backup. And Remote. Oh, man, if I can make you use your Leap Away, I could go hit Muldoon. I'm going to make you use the Leap Away.
Okay.
So yours is a 4 into my 4. So you do not get the movement. And then it's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can get to Muldoon if I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna just start with a maneuver. See what I get. Oh, okay. That was really good. I'm gonna discard the Living Shadow to boost.
Okay.
So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna hit Muldoon.
Yeah, I can't do anything.
No defense. This is another bonus attack.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's huge. So that's gonna be 6 total. I'm gonna hit Muldoon with both. Yeah. All right, and it's your turn.
Oof. Okay. Let the trap out.
Yep.
We'll maneuver.
This game is actually really showing off the Shadow's like ranged benefit.
Yeah, and I'll maneuver again.
Yep.
I'll just stay there.
Okay. I'm going to start with a maneuver. And I'm going to attack the worker.
I'll take it.
Okay. Oh man, so it's just, it'll kill him off, but I don't lose, so I don't get to search for the rumor, unfortunately. And then I can, otherwise, then I get to move him up to 2 spaces since I didn't search. I'm gonna go over here, and it's your turn.
Okay. So I don't think I'm gonna place a trap. I'm gonna maneuver.
Yep.
I'll maneuver again.
Sadly, I can't really get to you because I have to boost 5, and he doesn't really have high boost values.
No, he doesn't.
Only the one scheme, I think, is his only 3 boost value.
I think that's right, and it's just the one
Yeah,
copy of that card.
right, 1 copy. All right, well, let's hope that I get that 1 out of 18 chance right here. So I'm going to maneuver. I didn't get it. I'm going to go 1, 2. And I'm going to attack. Yeah, attack the worker.
He'll take it.
Alright. So that is the Sanctum. So I get to clear your guy off, and then after combat, I can place a shadow at the Sanctum, and then I'll heal 2 and draw 1. And it is your turn.
I'm gonna call for backup.
Yeah.
Put 1 there. And then I'll draw 2 cards.
Yep.
And then we'll have this worker attack the shadow.
Alright, this could be anything. You got so many cards now. Well, I'm going to play this card. It is compromised. Rending, ew. Okay, so I can boost. There's no reason to boost because I'm at 3 to 3, so I won't boost it. And you get to do your effect.
Yeah. Let's see. If I put you on the trap, that's gonna make me overdraw. So I think I'm just gonna move you 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let's go ahead and maneuver. I'm gonna hit this worker right here with the shadow.
Okay. You'll take it.
Okay. So ominous laughter, so he'll die off, and I gain an action. So I'm going to then hit this worker as well.
Okay. Faint.
Mine is a Relentless Pursuit, so it will kill him off. 3 over the 2, but I don't get any of my effects.
Yeah.
And that's it. Your turn.
Alright. I'll maneuver. And we'll have that worker attack the shadow.
Okay, I'm gonna play this.
Okay.
And what do you got? Rending shot. Okay, so immediately... Oh, crap, we're not adjacent. Oh, no, I totally forgot about that. Dang it. Hold on a second. So immediately if the fighters are adjacent, name a card value. The opponent may discard any number of cards of that value. So during combat, it says the opponent reveals their hand, so you still reveal your hand. I just don't get to get any pluses because I didn't name a value. Is that right? Based on the wording, it seems like that's how it would go. I don't know if that's how it was intended.
Yeah, because during combat's not if we're adjacent.
Right, exactly. And then it says +2 value for each card in their hand of the named value. There is no named value. I didn't get to name a value because we weren't adjacent.
Yeah,
but I
but you still get to look at my hand.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And look at that.
Oh, man, no defenses out of so many cards drawn, too.
Yeah.
Oof. Oh, you got the other call for backup already, though. Oh, that's brutal. So I do take 1, because the 3 over the 2. And
Yep.
then you get to move me up to 3.
I will put you on the trap.
Yeah. and that sucks. So I'm going to take an additional damage.
Yep, and I'll draw. Hopefully it's a defense.
Yeah, well, I think you're safe for this turn because I'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I can't possibly do.
Yeah.
So you are safe for this one. Okay, and it's my turn, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna maneuver. Well, I gotta start heading this way, so I'll go over there, and I'll maneuver again. Right there, and it's your turn.
Let's see. I'm gonna well, yeah, I'm gonna maneuver.
Okay. Oh, and KeystonePig did confirm that you still reveal the hand. Yeah, that's interesting.
I will call for backup.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you're gonna block me off. Dang it. Oh, you can double block. Oh, no. Good play. And what other effect do you want?
Let's see. I'm sitting at 7 cards.
Yeah.
So I will I'll place the traps, I guess.
Okay.
All right, your turn.
All right. What can I do? I'm gonna attack this worker here with the shadow.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Taking it?
Yeah.
All right. That's what I needed. So that is it's just a rumor. So now I get to go to an unoccupied space in my zone like a disengaged. So now that it's open, I get to pop over here and I get to play my scheme on Muldoon.
Nice.
To move him 3, he'll kill off his own worker and then he'll kill himself.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Good game.
Good game. That was my hand.
Oh man. Yep, tons of attacks. Only the 1 leap away. You could have saved yourself right there if you defended with the leap away, because then I wouldn't have killed your guy. I wouldn't have been able to go to the green here.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend my only defense card on the worker.
Exactly.
What I was worried about.
Right, because if it was anything other than like the scheme specifically, I couldn't have killed. You would have had the defense to save yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand why you didn't want to use it. Yeah, it's a tough call always trying to defend like a 1 health sidekick guy.
Right.
There was some spots in this game when I was like up around this area where I really didn't have, I don't think, any defense, but neither did you. So that was the problem for you. If you would have attacked me, you would have gotten big undefended damage, but of course you're trying to dig through your deck to get defense so you don't die.
Yeah, that's the thing. I sometimes get stuck playing too aggressively, and then I end up realizing I don't have any defense cards in my hand.
Right. I think that's a problem with everybody. You know, that's one of the hardest things in Unmatched is to really gauge when you need to back off. Especially with Muldoon, because he doesn't have a lot of defense cards to begin with.
Right.
Right. He's got so many attacks, and only like the blues, the leapaways, and the feints really for defense. He's got the regroups, but those almost just don't count.
Right.
It's only blocking 1. Also, it was interesting because for the longest time, I had this card in hand, and I had this card in hand, and now this one triggers if you have more cards than me. This one triggers if you have less cards than me, and you had the exact same amount of cards as I did for so long. So I didn't want to play either of them because they would have both just been wasted.
Right.
So that was interesting. Like, I guess as the opponent, you kind of want to play with the same number of cards in hand if you can, so that you don't run into these cards, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you had defense, like a leap away or something for those bonus attacks, it was a completely different game.
Yeah, that one, I can't remember the name of the card. It's like the Do My Bidding.
Yes.
You made me use a leap away on offense.
That was actually the game changer, I think.
Yeah.
Because that let me confirm that my next bonus attack was going to hit you undefended. So I felt safe enough boosting in. I think we were like over here or something like that.
Yeah.
So I boosted in. I don't think I had defense cards at that point, but I was okay with it because I was like, well, if I'm gonna get 6, free damage, that's worth the trade.
Right.
So yeah, this was the game changer for sure. And luckily, I mean, I was able to use it. You moved Muldoon away, and then you kept this guy on the Sanctum. So maybe
Yeah.
the Sanctum was the bait there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Good game. What are your closing thoughts after having played it and played against it now? Anything that was like worked differently than you thought, or did things pretty much play out as you expected?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun character for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I do think you got to be aggressive with him. And that's what I
Yeah.
expected off the bat. But I think after playing, I would say that is the case. And he has a lot of really strong cards, but his defenses just aren't great unless you can get this to trigger, or unless you
Mhm.
play this one here. But
Yeah.
that's not a ton of copies, right? That's only 2 of each. So
There's 2 each, right? Yeah.
yeah. Other than that, his defenses are pretty mediocre. You got this too, which is again just 2 copies. I think this card was a little underwhelming. I thought it was going to be better because a lot of times it is like a momentous shift.
Oh, right.
But the after combat
Yeah.
isn't.
I never drew that card when I played my game, so
Yeah,
I didn't.
you didn't even get to experience it. I only drew it
Right.
once, but like if it's a 5, you're not likely to lose the combat, right? So your after combat ability of moving and gaining the action is probably not going to trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Luminous Laughter too is like it's hard to get because you can't get it to be a 5
Mm-hmm.
because it's got to be a first action.
Exactly, which means you can't have moved to get your +1 with your ability.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think gaining an action is good though in general, so like it's okay to
Yeah,
use it.
for sure.
Yeah, just to knock a defense out of their hand and then get the action, I think is fine. This card is just crazy good. I think this might be one of the best cards in the deck.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, like two.
Getting 3 damage off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. With one scheme, and it's even in the zone. Like Invisible Man's got the 3 damage scheme, but it has to be adjacent, and you have to be on a fog, so it's like really requires setup. This
Yeah.
thing is just whatever's in your zone. Just there you go. I thought about doing this actually on your sidekick and moving
Mhm.
up to Muldoon when I wasn't able to get to Muldoon, just because I'd still
Oh
deal
yeah.
Muldoon the 1 and I'd still kill off the guy. But it wasn't going to be enough. Like I needed the other copy of this if I was actually going to kill you with it.
Right.
So after having played it too, do you have a favorite card?
I mean the defenses are both good. Um, I like the bonus attack is cool.
For sure.
Yeah, the Living Shadow with the playing the rumor before making it ignore the value. Uh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see that actually in our games, unfortunately.
Right.
But I like the idea of it. I like how it works. It's just we just didn't run into it. If I had to pick a favorite card, I don't know if I can necessarily pick one favorite, but
Mhm.
probably Crime Does Not Pay, along with um, Stalking the Underworld. I think I really
Yeah.
like the interaction between both of those. How one requires you to have more cards than your opponent, and one requires you to have less cards.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, and so this duo is probably my favorite part of the deck. How about like a least favorite card, or did you feel like there was anything you just didn't like, or anything that was just not impactful enough?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, we didn't really get to see the Living Shadow get used.
Right.
And the same thing with the Relentless Pursuit. But I'm like, there's nothing in here. It's just like, that's a throwaway card, right?
Right. Yeah, every time I had to boost in that game, it was a hard choice. I felt like everything in my hand was good, and I didn't necessarily want to get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Sanctum is, it's the one value, but you get to, teleport and heal, and draw.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. His blue defenses are obviously really good. You don't want to get rid of those.
Yeah.
I feel like the best card to get rid of, honestly, is the scheme.
Yeah, and I mean even then, that's still you getting rid of a heal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only kind of like you want it for the 3 boost value, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
with the what's the compromise?
Yes. Yep, to boost it, because then you can boost the compromise up to a 6. And if you're
Yeah,
adjacent to the person, the compromised even goes up to a 7,
yeah.
which is huge. So maybe that's the reason why all the boost values are pretty low, because compromised can get kind of ridiculous if you have a lot of 3 boost values in the deck.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, fun deck. It's really solid. Like, nothing is really confusing. Everything pretty much worked the way you'd expect, and it's
Hmm.
pretty easy to understand all the cards. And I think he does. He's a little bit one-dimensional in his gameplay because he kind of has to be the aggressor, like we've said. But that's
Hmm.
not a bad thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Raptors are really aggressive, and I don't know if you played the new Battle of Legends 2 stuff, but I think Bloody Mary's pretty aggressive as well and doesn't really have other options. So there's other fighters, with that are a little more one-dimensional. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun to be aggressive. I think a lot of people like playing aggro decks.
Yeah, for sure.
We did get to see the ability used a lot, as well as the ranged aspect. So it is really good because if your opponent is a melee, or if they're playing close up, I mean, you get easy +1s, and then if they're playing back or if they're ranged, like with Muldoon, you can still hit them and keep up the aggression. So no matter what,
Yeah.
you have benefits to being aggressive, which just plays into
Yeah.
his whole deck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Cool. Let's see if we can get KeystonePig on for an interview. We can pick his brain, maybe answer some of the questions he has for us, and then we'll call it a night. Hello?
Yes.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, man, thanks for playing. I appreciate Hollandoates, man. Great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, man, it was a great deck. It's super solid. Like I mentioned, there was no really nothing really too confusing, and everything pretty much worked the way you'd expect. And he was a fun, aggressive fighter, which is always fun to play. So good job.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys. I mean, you guys played him exactly the way he was intended to be played. So yeah, I was happy with it. Both
Sweet.
games.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
So, I mean, are there any specific questions or anything you want to say about the deck?
No, well, I mean, in general, you guys gave me a lot of great feedback, and I got to give a big shout out to Gary and Collie and Hubris. Those guys really, I mean, they were just knocking me like right up to the last minute. I was messaging you earlier about making the changes.
Right.
So yeah, they get a lot of credit for a lot of the changes in this deck. Gary was the mastermind behind Surrender and Confess. I mean, the card was there initially with some other effects, but he really helped me tweak that down, and I was happy with that. Overall, I think there was a lot of good feedback with the Sanctum effect, and the Sanctum card actually got a lot of good feedback. I was surprised with the 1 value versatile.
Right.
That regained some health. But yeah, I mean, overall, like most of the feedback I've gotten is like you guys said tonight. He's kind of low on defense, and I've really vacillated between him being way overpowered, way underpowered. Like, it's just been a seesaw. I've been working on this deck since last March.
Oh wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to balance a deck. That's probably the hardest thing, right? I'm not gonna say it's easy to come up with cool ideas, but when you get into the flow, like you start off with something, you just start running with it, and you generate a bunch of these cool ideas pretty quickly. But then to actually balance it and make it feel right for not just the person playing the fighter, but also the opponent, that's really, really difficult.
Yeah, exactly. And I really struggled initially. Well, the big struggle is balancing him with his hero ability of that +1 melee attack.
Oh yeah.
Which was the problem with my overpowering him early on. And I mean that skilled combatant. Holy cow, man! I can't. He landed that thing heavily.
Oh
but,
yeah.
Yeah. He started off that card started off as a 4, then it went to a 5. Then it went to a 3, and then I just recently knocked it back up to a 4 because the 3 was a little bit underpowered, a little bit underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
That the biggest trouble I've had is balancing that with that hero ability. I didn't want to make him too overpowering because it'd be fun to play. I guess. I mean, in you guys' opinion, I mean, do you think I need to should we work on the boosting, buffing some of those defense values?
Buffing the defense values or the boost values?
Well, okay, either one. Yeah, yes.
I think
go ahead,
he
Zach.
could stand to have maybe a couple more 3 boosts instead of having just the 1. I know that Compromise can get up to a 7 with that 3 boost if you're hitting the melee, but you also only have 1 3 boost in the deck, so.
Yeah, I agree with that, and also like inadvertently you're gonna increase the importance of the Sanctum token if you increase the boost values, right? Because there's only a couple of cards that play into the Sanctum token, being Compromised as one of them, and the Sanctum card. So if Compromised is a bigger threat because there's more higher boost values, you're going to play around the Sanctum a little bit more as the opponent.
Yeah, good point. That the boosting that Compromise was actually one of my last changes because Compromise got beat up pretty bad. It got some really bad reviews from some of the guys that played it. They thought it was just kind of like a blah card.
Sure.
And I really wanted to work that Sanctum mechanic because the Sanctum mechanic got a lot of good feedback. So I wanted something else in that deck to play off of it. So yeah, I think you're right. I think boosting some of those boost values overall, I think will make that Compromised card a little bit more of a game changer. Something to play around.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but it's also going to just help him with his aggression because he'll be able to reach you more easily.
Yes. Good point. And like I said, I never really realized how low my boost values were until I watched you guys play tonight. I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
Like, just boost it. I'm like cheering. I'm like, boost in and hit him with a +1. And I'm like, wait a minute. All my boosts are 1 and 2s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, except for literally this one card. Yeah. Yeah,
Mo Shrivnit's the one that gives you the health back. But yeah, man. Yeah, I like I said, I can't thank you guys enough, and anybody watching that's played the deck or given me reviews, I really, really appreciate it. I've been working towards this for almost a year now, so yeah, it's great.
Awesome, man. Yeah, not a problem. It's always a blast to play these decks. And like circling back to your question about the defense buff, I don't necessarily think he needs it. I would probably start off with the boost value buffs first, do a few of those, because that's going to, A, buff Compromised, B, make Sanctum token a little more impactful, and C, just make him more aggressive, which you don't need as much defense if you have a lot of aggression because the opponent doesn't feel safe counterattacking you, like attacking back, because they're more worried about drawing themselves and getting away and drawing defenses.
Good point.
I agree with that.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I know he's really had problems with Dracula. I think I put that in the chat earlier.
Yes.
He has problems with opponents that heal. Because I don't think he deals a lot of damage overall, but he tends to have problems with opponents that heal a lot.
Yeah. So the damage, like, you really get a lot of damage if you can get those undefended attacks, which means you got to run your opponent out of cards in hand, and you got to keep up the aggression to be able to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
When I was playing him, I never felt like lack of defense was a problem, and part of that's just luck of the draw. But because I got a lot of those blue defenses early. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the deck definitely, you have to be, I mean, obviously, you have to be willing to take some damage and take some hits. But again, Gary was one of the ones who kind of helped tweak that lower card value, but bumping up the healing factors. So, you know, he was a big help with that.
Yeah. Well, he's not a master deck maker for nothing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, I can't thank everybody enough that's helped me out, man. Collie came up with the Sanctum token, and my
Nice.
custom counter. So it's really cool. It's been a good collaborative effort. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's always nice to have other people help out with these decks because, you know, the official decks, it's not one person that makes those decks. There's a lot of
Right.
people that go into it, and that's why they're such high quality. So, you know, there's only so much you can do by yourself, and that's why the Playtesting Guild too is so good, because you get so many hands on the deck. You know, different people's opinions who have different play styles, different you know, viewpoints and all that. So
Absolutely, yeah. It's this community is amazing.
yeah, it sure is.
Absolutely amazing.
And yeah, so I think his low defenses are fine. The only thing is the boost values, really.
That's an easy fix.
Yeah, exactly. Just bump up some of them. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the Living Shadow do work, but I think that's a great card in general.
Yeah, that's I really like that card a lot. I think more so than the Skill Combatant, really. It's just a matter of getting that rumor card out there. And I want to say, I think it was Hubris that actually came up with the idea of doing the search for the rumor card effect, which I never considered, but I thought it was a pretty cool add-on. It's just a matter of getting it to hit.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know how much you've watched of like my videos or anything, but
All of them.
All of them? Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Actually.
But with last episode with Momotaro, right? He had the different sidekicks, right? And he had the let's see. There was a card we suggested to change to get one of the sidekick specific cards out of the discard pile. But on top of that, like, he also added in, if there are none like in your discard pile, you can search one from the deck. So that reminds me of this here, the Living Shadow, because it's really like, if you have a card that only interacts with the discard pile, then you run into problems like Lady of the Lake has, where what happens if you just draw them in the wrong order? You know, and that just feels terrible. So so being able to search it from the deck if it's not in the discard pile is really nice, because it makes the engine flow like on its own.
Agreed. Momotaro was a great deck. I had a lot of fun playing that one, and then Jorogumo right before that one. Really, really cool decks.
Yeah. Everyone,
Absolutely.
man, all you guys, you keep, you know, knocking them out of the park. You just doing a really good job with all these, and I think the guild helps with that too, because not only do you get people to refine the decks, but like to get your deck in the spotlight takes some time and effort, right? And
almost a year for me.
Yes, so once you finally get there, you know, you want your deck to be ready. So it really like gives you a kick in the butt, like motivation to make sure your deck is like the best it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I said. I was so stressed out earlier when I was messaging you. I was like, "Hey, man, is it cool if I make last minute changes to this thing?" Because, like I said, Collie and Hubris and some other guys were really like, "Hey, try this, try that." You know, so it was really cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Great. I loved watching you guys play it tonight, man. You nailed it.
Awesome.
Absolutely nailed it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for every time I do these. You know. Out of curiosity, though, what were the changes what were those last minute changes that you made?
Well, I made the last minute change to Compromise. A couple of guys were really pulling for just completely getting rid of that card and making it kind of a momentous shift.
Okay.
But again, I wanted to keep that Sanctum mechanic in there. And before a Compromise was just like, I can't remember what it was now. It was if the opposing fighter is in the Sanctum, then this card value is a 0, I think it was. Okay. But then I changed it. The last minute change was what you see now, where if any fighter's there, you cancel the effects, but you can, if otherwise you can boost it.
Yeah.
Bumping that skilled fighter from a 3 to a 4.
Okay.
Trying to think what else. And on suggestion earlier today was to the ominous laughter. The after effect of that was to move up to 1 or 2 spaces. I don't recall what it was, but I got a last minute suggestion to make it as a gain in action, which I really, really like because the ominous laughter is kind of like, okay, look, I'm gonna hit you with the first one. It's a 4. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, good. But I'm gonna gain an action. I'm gonna come at you with either a movement into a boosted melee attack. So yeah, that was a really good suggestion, which I really liked because, well, 1, mechanically, 2, thematically, it keeps with the whole disorienting laughter that the Shadow has. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but yeah. So you get this disembodied laughter that kind of disorients people and like freaks them out, scares them to death.
Right.
And then here comes this boosted attack. So yeah, that was a really good suggestion. So yeah, those are the major last minute changes.
Gotcha.
Oh, and then I'm sorry, Clouded Mind. Clouded Mind, we added the after effect of moving one of the fighters up to 2 spaces.
Okay, I really like that.
Before that, I had a vanish effect in there where you could actually take the Shadow off the board and put him back in somewhere else, like the Invisible Man.
Okay.
But I didn't get positive feedback on that. I thought it was a little bit overpowered.
That would make it really strong because then you can start your next turn right next to them and get like double attacks and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah. And Gary just brought up a good point in the chat. He said it's huge being able to move the opponent because you can move them off of the Sanctum with Clouded Mind. So that is...
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
And then like you said with the ominous laughter, that plays perfectly into something like the Living Shadow, right? You're like, well, it's a 4 if it's your first action. If it hits, cool. If not, well, you lost the combat, so now you can maneuver because you gained your action, and then you hit with Relentless Pursuit, and since you lost the previous one, you are going to have a 5, right? Plus 1 if you get your melee bonus, so that'd be a 6.
Yes.
So,
yep, you can really chain some heavy attacks.
Yeah.
If you play them properly.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's the idea. Yeah.
And that's the most fun. Everybody loves combos.
Yeah, well, you've got the legendary Bruce combo anyway, so.
That's true. I have gotten that one time.
It's like the epic one time in a lifetime Bruce combo.
Yeah. I did get some good Bruce combos today against Zach, unfortunately for him.
Yeah,
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I was watching that and I was like, oh man, here comes Bruce. Jeez, I was like, John's like the master Bruce guy.
Well, it's funny because you get to see my hand, right, watching the stream. Zach doesn't know, of course, but you guys all do, so you can see it coming. It's like, oh man, his hand is loaded with the Jeets. Here it comes.
Yeah, and especially me creating this deck, I know what you're probably running into, and I'm thinking, oh, cripes, this is not going to be good.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It's good for me.
That's good, though. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, great deck overall. Any other questions or points you want to put out there?
No, like I said, you guys really filled in a lot of white space that I had. So yeah, I'm gonna buff those boost values on some of those cards, and I think I leave the rest of it alone and just let it ride.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? Any last minute questions you want to throw out to Keystone, or any thoughts, or anything else?
No. I mean, just like I said before, this is a really fun deck and cool fighter. So.
Yep. I'll second that.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. And again, like I said, I can't thank the other guys enough that provided feedback, man. Gary, Golly, Hubris, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yep. I'm sure they're happy to help. They're the big ones in the customs community, so they do a lot of good work with all that. But
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will wrap it up for tonight then. Zach, thanks for playing with me. Keystone, thanks for joining for the interview. I appreciate both of you guys here.
Yeah, thank you guys again. Once again, man, it's always great. Look forward to more videos. Thanks.
Yeah, not a problem. All right, guys. Well, have a
Take
good
care.
night, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.
And anybody in the chat, thanks for checking it out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And it was a blast as always. So looking forward to the next one. If you want to get your fighter in the guild, you know, just start participating. That's all it takes. I know they implemented some new changes too, where you'll be able to kind of get a streak going. If you've never been in the spotlight, it's going to accelerate your progress so that you can get into the spotlight faster, at least for your first deck. So the newcomers, you know, it's going to be easier for them. And they're also now, they're rotating every 2 weeks. Not necessarily rotating, but they're kind of doing an overlap. So this week it's just the Shadow in the spotlight, but for starting at the end of the week, it's going to add in the next fighter into the rotation along with the Shadow for a week. Then that new fighter is going to have its own designated week, and then another one comes in again. So, you know, they're going to do faster rotations. They're going to give that incentive bonus for the newcomers if you guys want to get in and accelerate your point growth so you can get one of your decks in the spotlight. So definitely be sure to participate, and hope you enjoyed it tonight, and we will catch you in the next one.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for Playtesting Guild round number 17 with the Shadow by KeystonePig. And it was a really fun, aggressive deck. If you guys watched the Don Quixote video, that one was also aggressive, so check that one out too if you like the aggro play style. But the Shadow is really cool, and just a really solid deck overall. And especially, I think, with the new changes that he mentioned, with the buffing of the boost values, I think that's going to help out the aggression quite a bit and make it even more fun to play. So, looking forward to the new version, and he did a great job. And like I mentioned too, guys, if you want to get your deck in the spotlight, they are making some changes where you kind of get an accelerated point growth if you're a newcomer to the guild, and it's going to help you get your first deck in the spotlight more quickly. So all it takes is participation, play the decks, give your feedback, and, you know, just be a part of the whole community and the event. If you like making custom decks, it's right up your alley. So be sure to check it out on the Reddit page. I'll leave a link in the description as always. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. And if you guys want to see these streams live, just check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/ZeroSkater12. And you can see all the action as it's unfolding. But again, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe as always if you enjoyed the video. And if you want to see more about this kind of stuff, make sure to leave some comments and let me know. So I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks again for watching. I'm ZeroSkater12, and I'll see you next time.